When the story of modern tennis is told, when the legends are weighed, the battles revisited, and the legacies measured, three names will forever stand at the summit: Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic. Together, they didn't just dominate a sport. They reshaped it. They elevated it. They pushed it to places we never dreamed it could go. And now, with Federer retired, Nadal stepping away, and Djokovic reflecting in the twilight of his career, the greatest of the three, the one still standing, is opening up like never before. On a recent podcast appearance with Croatian football icon Slaven Bilić, Novak Djokovic peeled back the curtain on an era that spanned over 2 decades. A golden age. An epic saga of sweat, brilliance, agony, and victory. Djokovic didn't just reflect on his trophies. He reflected on his rivalries. Because for him, like for us, this wasn't just about numbers. It was about war, about connection, about transformation. He spoke first of Federer. Federer is the most talented one, Djokovic said plainly. The most beautiful to watch. And those who watched during those peak years know exactly what he means. Federer, the artist, the maestro, the one who turned tennis into ballet. Effortless footwork, flowing one-handed backhands, serves like poetry. He didn't just play, he danced. He moved so lightly, so elegantly and so efficiently, Djokovic recalled, as though revisiting a performance in his mind. Federer's grace was never just for show, it was strategic, surgical, and most of all, enduring. Then came Nadal. The contrast was seismic. If Federer was ballet, Nadal was a bullfight. If Federer painted, Nadal carved. Djokovic didn't shy away from acknowledging the stark difference. Nadal is the opposite extreme, he said. He dominated physically. There was always something primal about Nadal on clay. The growls, the sweat, the spin. He didn't glide across the court, he stormed it. Every point was war. Every match, an odyssey. And yet Djokovic found himself, stylistically, closer to Rafa. That may surprise many. Because while Djokovic often appears the cool technician, calculating, composed, beneath the surface is a warrior who spent years outlasting, outworking, outthinking both Federer and Nadal. His rivalry with Nadal was the most prolific in tennis history, 60 matches, spread over nearly 2 decades. And when it was all said and done, Djokovic led at 31-29. Against Federer, he faced 50 times. Another heavyweight saga. Another legacy-defining rivalry. And again, Djokovic led it, 27-23. These were not blowouts. These were slugfests. These were classics. Together, the Big Three amassed 66 of the 81 Grand Slam titles from 2003 to 2023. That's not a statistic, it's a takeover. An era. An empire. Djokovic alone sits atop with 24 Grand Slam singles titles, more than any man in tennis history. Nadal holds 22, Federer 20. But in the eyes of many fans, numbers only tell part of the story. What made these rivalries legendary wasn't just how often they met. It was how they changed each other. Federer made Nadal better. Nadal made Djokovic tougher. Djokovic made both of them rethink everything. And Djokovic knows this. That's why, at 38, he's looking back not just with pride, but with clarity. He admired Federer's elegance, envied his efficiency, and recognized the purest form of natural tennis ability. But he also respected Nadal's raw physical dominance, his ability to make every rally a test of willpower and pain threshold. Djokovic, somehow, stood between them, borrowing from both, mastering neither alone, but outlasting both through sheer force of adaptability. And that's the legacy he now embraces. He doesn't call himself more talented than Roger. He doesn't claim to have more grit than Rafa. But he knows he endured. He knows he evolved. He knows he survived a tennis battlefield with 2 all-time greats and walked away with the crown. And that's why he speaks now. Not to boast, but to honor. Because Djokovic knows that without Federer and Nadal, he would not be Novak Djokovic. Without Roger's perfection, he wouldn't have raised his baseline game. Without Rafa's endless rallies, he wouldn't have conditioned his body to withstand 5-hour wars. Without their shadow, he never would have chased the light so hard. This is the bond of rivalry. The deepest respect forged through conflict. The fiercest admiration born from opposition. It's easy to forget now, with Federer retired and Nadal taking his final steps, just how loud those matches used to be. Just how many nights we stayed awake watching tie breaks. Just how many tears were shed, on court and off. But Djokovic doesn't forget. He remembers Wimbledon finals that could break hearts. He remembers clay court duels that left even the gods tired. He remembers fans choosing sides, moments of greatness so grand they felt surreal. And now, as the last of the three still competing at the highest level, Djokovic carries the flame. He carries it not to gloat, but to preserve. To make sure we never forget what we witnessed. To remind us that this was no ordinary rivalry. This was art. This was war. This was tennis at its absolute peak. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. And now, Djokovic, standing alone, still swinging. Still chasing. Still driven not just by victory, but by the memory of the men who made him greater. Because without Federer and Nadal, there is no Djokovic. And without Djokovic, the golden age would have never gleamed quite as bright.